What up, everybody? A couple episodes ago, D-Mac hit a lick robbing a crap game in Chinatown over on 27th Street, taking all their money and also taking a brick of fetti from an Asian dealer named Bolo. After, D-Mac and Marshall kicked up the CBI, and that included giving Jinard the brick that D-Mac took from Bolo. And after, when Jinard told Shanti about this and said that all the other crews in the city were cutting their product with it, Shanti told Jinard that she was trying to build and not destroy. Then we get to episode 4, which was about a week later, as Diamond had told Jinard in episode 2 that they would be meeting with Che in about a week. And in episode 4, after leaving Stacy's task force, Bobby DeFranco was assigned a case where 12 bodies dropped at a Durang frat house, all fat overdoses. And 2 of the deaths that took place at this frat house were social influencers, so the press was about to be all over the case. DeFranco said that CPD was already out shaking the trees, trying to get answers about what was going on. So the investigation into this is going to be heavy, and the main question that the feds wanted to know is who's putting the fetti on the streets that's dropping all these bodies. Hardwick said that there was also an uptick of fentanyl-related deaths on the north side as well, and the feds were questioning if the Marquez cartel brought the fetti into town because the fact that the spike in deaths seemed to go alongside when the Marquez cartel arrived in Chicago. While this was taking place, Sang was also in the office, overhearing the whole conversation and listening to his co-workers talk about it potentially being the Marquez cartel and how Stacy was trying to add these bodies to Ortega's case. But it never did actually confirm that it was the Marquez cartel who was bringing the fetti into the city of Chicago, because it never showed Sang talking to the Marquez cartel lawyer after he found out that they were trying to pin this on the cartel. Sang did try to contact Chan at the end of the episode to tell him that Claudia got released, but he got his voicemail. But the crew that we know has the fetti is an Asian crew over in Chinatown, either though Chinatown isn't on the north side where the bodies were dropping at. But because the Marquez cartel lawyer Chan is Asian, as well as Bolo, the guy who D-Mac stole the brick from, and that could be the clue that the Marquez cartel was who supplied Bolo with the brick. Keeping in mind that Chan killed Mirkovich by poisoning him with carfentanil. But the interesting thing is that they said that the fetti-related deaths were all taking place on the north side, and that's Vic Flynn's crew's territory, and also the same side of town where the bars that Tommy took from Vic and gave to the Albanians are located. And since we know that the Marquez cartel isn't running distro on the north side, even if they are ultimately the plug, who is it actually putting the fetti on the streets? And does this have anything to do with Vic's crew, the Northside Irish, making moves behind his back? In addition to the 12 bodies that dropped at the frat house, and also the bodies that were dropping on the north side, in episode 4, Jinard had to try to make amends with Manny Fresh to please Shanti, and to also get the price off his head, as she wanted him dead for robbing her. But in order to do this, he had to get back Manny's chain that he stole that was a gift from her father. But in order to do that, he had to get the chain back from Joey, the junkie that he gave the chain to. And surprisingly, Joey still had the chain and hadn't traded it for more drugs like Jinard did. And because Joey really valued that chain, he wouldn't sell it back to Jinard, even when Jinard tried to give him $1,000 and even $2,000 for the chain. Then Joey said he was about to go get some bags from a character named Yo-Yo, who, like I said before in another video, hasn't been introduced on screen yet, but that was the second time his character has been mentioned, as he was mentioned before in Season 2 when Jinard needed product, but Jinard's crew told Jinard that Yo-Yo wasn't messing with him because he knew that Jinard owed the Serbs, and Yo-Yo wouldn't deal with Jinard anyway because he was on the So we'll see if the character Yo-Yo will be introduced on screen before the series is over with. But at this point, when Joey was about to go get his bags, Jinard showed Joey a test bag that he had put together and let him know that it was that Asian. Joey tried the dope that Jinard gave him and immediately died. And even though this was how Jinard was able to get Manny's chain back, I honestly don't think he intended on killing Joey with that dope either, because he told him to be careful, and then even after Joey was dead, Jinard repeated, "I told you to be careful." I think Jinard was just intending on Joey potentially nodding out so bad that he'd be able to snatch the chain from him, and not that Joey would actually die. But at this point, Jinard made a big mistake as he grabbed the bag that he gave Joey that killed him before tossing it back into the car over by Joey. And out of all people, we would think that Jinard would have known better and would have grabbed the bag to bring with him to avoid any problems moving forward, keeping in mind what his brother Diamond went to prison for those 15 years. Diamond went to prison because he had put a bad batch out on the street that ended up killing 9 people. Something that Kanan would have also went to prison for in Season 1 of Raising Kanan if his dad wasn't a cop and Howard didn't get ahead of it and save Kanan from catching a case behind the bodies that dropped when he put the bad crack out on the street. But because Diamond went to prison for something similar, we would think that Jinard would have known better and took the bag he gave Joey with him. But instead, he touched it again and left his fingerprints on the bag. And because we know that CPD is investigating into these fetti-related deaths, if they find Jinard's fingerprints on that bag, these bodies might end up getting pinned on Jinard and or CBI as a whole. Because if they were to get Jinard's fingerprints off of the bag that killed Joey and tried to pin all these deaths on Jinard, would Jinard be a big enough fish to satisfy Stacy Marks? Or would Stacy try to flip Jinard to try to get him to work against Tommy or his brother by threatening him with a life sentence for all the bodies that have dropped? In Season 2, Diamond tried to ensure Tommy that Jinard would never snitch. But at the same time, Jinard doesn't cross me as a loyal person, and if he was facing a life sentence, I do think there's a good chance that he would end up cooperating with Stacy Marks and law enforcement. In addition to the whole Jinard situation and all these bodies that have been dropping due to the fetti getting put out on the streets, we also have to believe that Bolo will come back into the picture at some point looking for answers about who took the brick from him, keeping in mind he told D-Mac that he was making a big mistake. And now that we know Bolo is potentially connected to the Marquez cartel, it makes this storyline just that much more interesting. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.